Welcome to Season 3 of FitPro Sessions, your bi-weekly essential nutrient to progress as a FitPro. Today's vitamin PC is, the best time to plant a tree is now. Hi, I'm Neil Bergman.
And I'm Hayley Bergman. Over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands of fitness professionals to get qualified, learn with simplicity, and coach clients with confidence.
We're the first to say that learning and being a FitPro doesn't have to be hard work, and that with the right structure, support and resources, you can become a confident and knowledgeable fitness professional that is dedicated to more.
So how do you learn, qualify and kickstart as a FitPro? This is the FitPro Sessions Podcast with Parallel Coaching.
Welcome to season number 3 of FitPro Sessions. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time of day you're listening to us.
I'm really excited because this one is a little bit different.
Season 3
is different.
is very, very different.
And I think you're going to absolutely love it. Wherever you are in your FitPro journey, whether you are still training to be a FitPro, whether you're already qualified, whether you've been qualified for years, I know it's going to help you.
We've called it vitamin PC, and a vitamin is an essential nutrient that keeps the body moving and allows all bodily processes to take place. There we go. We're on tune today. Okay, I'm really excited about this one. As we've been planning it, we've really kind of just got really excited ourselves. And I think that's the key part. And one of the main messages from vitamin PC is you've got to enjoy it. You've got to enjoy that process. So over the next 10 episodes, and I'm not sure, I think this might even last longer than 10 episodes.
I think it might.
But we're going to plan for 10 episodes. We're going to have them bi-weekly. So rather than every Thursday, they're going to land on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, all the main podcast platforms on a Tuesday and Thursday.
So you get us twice.
There we go.
And following feedback, they're actually going to be much smaller. So they are little bite-sized vitamins.
This one may be a little bit longer because we've got our intro.
Well, yeah.
There we go.
We've got to keep them short.
We've got to keep them short. But we're talking
diving in
anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's we're going to take a quote from a famous person, okay, for a number of reasons, something that resonates with us. We're going to extract the message and then we're going to apply it to you learning to become a FitPro, newly qualified, recently qualified, or a veteran FitPro, and extract that message and then ask you a couple of questions at the end for you to progress.
So you can go and apply it to your world.
Completely. And we've applied it to our world. So, you know, some of the key influential people we're going to take quotes from are people like Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, T. Harv Eker, the late Dwayne Dyer, and a couple of kind of unknown quotes as well. We're going to jump right back a couple of thousand years and look at some Socrates quotes as well, and take that message. We're going to discuss it and then give you a couple of questions.
And all of these mean something to us. So that's why we really wanted to share these. They're not just randomly selected. They really do mean something to us. And I know they're going to help you as a FitPro. So
what I loved about this as well, it's very similar to our morning show on Facebook. So every morning, around about 8 o'clock every morning, we jump on live for about 8 to 10 minutes. And we have just a general chit chat over a cup of coffee. And I really like to call it vitamin PC.
Yes.
Okay, exactly. So you'd have like vitamin B12 or vitamin C.
We need a number after it.
We can be vitamin PC 1 and 2. I don't mind.
Vitamin PC episode 1.
Episode 1 is called... What's it called? The best time to plant a tree is now.
That's the one.
Hayley got stumbled. So the best time to plant a tree is right now. And that's from
a Zig Ziglar quote.
A Zig Ziglar quote. What does that mean for you, Hayley? Go straight in.
Well, for me, it's about the timing of a decision and an action. That's what I see. So that there's no point. Let's dissect it. It's talking about trees and planting a tree. So if you wait to plant a tree to the point that you want to now have the fruit, it's too late. You've kind of got to know that you're not necessarily wanting the fruit right now, but you're going to plant the tree now, knowing you're going to have the fruit in the future.
Which goes back to season 2, episode 1, which was start with the end in mind.
It's like
there's a plan in here. But what I love about that is you want the big oak tree, and a big oak tree can take decades to be fruitful, to get to its fully grown size. And trees are always growing, right?
I'll have an apple tree, please.
I would go for I I quite like silver birch trees, to be honest.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
Lovely.
Completely irrelevant.
The
point here is all about you've got to plant the tree today in order for the tree to start growing.
Yes.
There's the message.
There is the message.
And we see so many people in their studies, inside their revision, inside their practicals, inside booking the exam date.
Inside working with clients.
Just getting going, kick-starting and taking action is delaying planting the tree, delaying planting that seed.
And they're waiting to be ready or feel ready. And that feeling of readiness is like, I'm ready to eat the fruit.
Yeah.
Rather than doing it in advance.
So you really want the outcome, but there's something holding you back. You're not planting the tree right now. And I want to, the perception of me, if I go into like what my perception of that is actually planting the seed of the tree is actually a really small task.
It's only tiny.
It's a really small action. Like I really like gardening. Okay, so if I want to go and grow something in the garden, it's quite simple really, isn't it? I just need to put the seed into the soil. Okay, it's a little bit more complicated than that. But in the grand scheme of things, it's just putting the tree seed into the soil.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you cover it back over and you're gone. In the grand scheme of things, that could be a 5-minute task, a 3-minute task. And this simple 3-minute task allows for the tree to grow. And then I wake up tomorrow morning, or I go to bed, I wake up tomorrow morning, I go outside, I look at the tree, nothing's happened.
Not there yet.
Okay, and so now I've got to do another simple task of watering the seed. And then I leave it for a day, I go to bed, I wake up, I go back out, still nothing there.
And you keep watering it, knowing it's growing underground.
And I do that day after day after day.
And you still can't see it.
And I still can't see the fruits of my labour. But then after maybe, 5 days, 10 days, 20 days, you start to see a small shoot. And now you can start to see some action take place. And you can now nurture this little seedling, this little shoot, into a massive oak tree. But it doesn't get to the oak tree for quite some time. Well, it's always an oak tree, I suppose.
Yeah, but it doesn't get to the point of your final outcome for a long time.
It doesn't get to that point of your final vision
overnight.
That fruit overnight. So you've got to know what it is you're really after and know that it's not an overnight success, but you must plant the seed right now.
And although that's a small action, like Neil said a minute ago, it's also the little small actions that you do, even having faith that it is growing under the surface.
Yeah.
You can't even see it.
Oh, it's amazing. Goosebumps, right? Because you know something, you can imagine something growing underneath the soil. And you've probably seen those clips on YouTube, or go back to your school days with the science clips and a cross section, and you can see the shoot heading up towards the light and whatnot. And there's loads of messages in there, isn't there? And even though you can't see it happening, you know it's taking place, but it's only taking place because of one thing: your daily micro actions. It takes almost no time at all to sow the seed, plant the seed, no time at all to cover it up, no time at all to water it and feed it and nurture it every day. And you can get on with the rest of your world and spin the plates and all other areas, knowing that if you just give a little bit of time, energy and effort towards the seed, towards the shoot, it will grow. So
I love
Hayley,
that. The other part of that is not forgetting to water it every day.
Oh,
like when you don't
amazing.
see it, and it's just out of the way, the seed's in the ground, and you've got so much other stuff going on, like you say, spinning plates, other things.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget.
Yes, because you can't see it, or get a little bit disheartened because it's not growing as quick as you want it. You get a little bit disheartened because it's only a small shoot, and in your head you've got this big, luscious oak tree.
Oh, that's
so
it.
let's give some examples of this from a revision, fitness, business perspective.
I think let's start with revision.
Go for it.
Revision is something whereby you've got a final outcome. This is your fruits from the tree.
You want to pass your exam.
Pass your exam or hand in your LAP. Everything's done.
Practical
right?
done. Certificate on the doorstep.
That's your final outcome.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, you need to do lots of little tasks, which is Neil saying about watering the seed continually.
You've got to plant the seed.
But you also need to start. You've
Just
got
need
to
to
plant
start.
that seed straight away. And what often people will do is wait until they have that moment of fear as the deadline becomes closer.
Well, the back's against the wall, and so now it's an appropriate time to take action, because if you don't take action with a couple of weeks left, like you're bottlenecking your whole revision. But knowing that right now, like we're recording this early August, okay, if your exam is in, let's say, the end of September, starting now, Don't wait until the kids have gone back to school. Don't wait until this heat wave has gone through. Don't wait for the after the weekend, once you've had your party or whatever. Start now, because the action you need to do right now is incredibly small. So if you've not done anything for a while, your first action might be, I'm going to sit down for 10 minutes and get a strategy. I'm going to get a plan. I'm going to get a plan. You might not even open your manuals or your books. You're just going to get a plan. And then tomorrow, you've got to say, right, what am I going to do today? What's the small, consistent? What's your first watering? And applying action to this plan.
Awesome.
The other thing you said when we had the tree analogy was people forget. Okay, and so they have.
Because it's such a small little thing to do every day. 2 or 3 days of good action. All of a sudden, life throws you lemons. Okay, and you forget. Okay, and we become the product of our environment. So if we forget to water the oak tree, the oak tree dies. Okay, so that's quite somber, to think about that. But if you take 2 or 3 days of action in your revision and then forget about it for 2 or 3 days, you become a product of your revision, and your revision slowly fades away. And that's when people say they don't remember it and they've lost momentum in their revision and they've not done it for a while. How do I restart? That's because you've stopped watering the seed. Cool. So just allow that daily action to happen.
So go and place water on your studies. Not literally, you'll ruin your manual.
Yeah, don't do that.
But again,
wreck your laptop.
Wreck your laptop. But from a, let's say you're just starting out as a FitPro, you're qualified. You're like, well, how do I get found? How do I get clients? You've got to start now. You've got to say post once a day, for example, on Facebook or Instagram, start to get found, get noticed. But to start off with, you might go, well, I've not got any followers, no one's looking. That's the equivalent of the tree, of the seed, of not seeing the shoot.
And also with the clients, you might, let's say you've got a full-time job at the moment, you're not ready or don't have the time to be able to take on tons of clients. But if you plant the seed now, when you are ready,
that's an amazing point.
You'll now be able to make that shift, because when don't wait until you leave your job to plant the seed, because you're going to wait a while to get the fruit come
completely
through.
So there might be this transition of where you're in full-time job and you're having to build some part-time fitness clients, so that you can tip for balance over time and slowly. Yeah, because it's knowing we can predict that the first stage of growing any business is going to feel incredibly daunting and maybe a little bit slow. And I think we know that we can predict that the seed has to get to the top of the soil before it sees light. But that time frame, if this oak tree seedling is 6 inches under or a foot under, it's going to take time for that to grow. And that's
before we can see it.
It's going to take time for your followers before they can see you and you can see them. It's going to take time for your videos and content to get reached before you can see them. And likewise, from an actual training a client, weight loss doesn't happen overnight. Fat loss doesn't happen overnight. Hypertrophy and muscle gain doesn't happen overnight. You've got to plant the seed, go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week minimum, or do 2 or 3 times of exercise per week minimum. And it's not until maybe week 3 or 4 that you start to see and reap the rewards. Now, if you went to the gym, brand new to the gym, and you went to your first session and walked out and gone, why haven't I lost weight? You'd be incredibly annoyed and frustrated.
Yeah.
And that's the same message, isn't it? It's not what we do in one session, it's what we do cumulatively over all the sessions, and you must water the seed in order for it to grow. So
I like the analogy of applying it to a tree, because as adults we understand that it takes trees a little while to grow. I remember when I first had this, with one of my little nieces, she was like, why isn't it there already? But we know as adults that it takes a bit of time. So applying
the questions we've got for you are very simple. Where in your world do you need to plant a seed? Okay, maybe that's in your revision, maybe newly qualified, kick-starting, or maybe you're a veteran FitPro and you're wanting to kind of push a little bit harder. But where in your world right now do you know you need or want to plant a seed, but are holding back from doing so? And what is it you're holding back for or from?
Yeah, so what is that delay? Why are you delaying?
Next question. Who would you need to become, and what would you need to do in order to plant the seed today?
Oh, I like that.
We're not asking to go and do a massive task or action. What would I need to do, or who would I need to become in order to plant the seed today, right now, in the next 24 hours, or the next, take massive action and go the next 20 minutes, or
I'm gonna say,
the moment you've logged off from this podcast.
Whilst you're here, thinking about that and then going and actually taking action in that, even if that's scheduling when you're going to go and plant the seed, then that is your first action.
Yes.
If you leave it, you'll go about your normal day, and then before you know it, you'll
forgotten.
remember, and you'll be like, I'm supposed to plant a seed.
So your first, who do you need to become, or what do you need to do? Your first action could be, right, I'm going to pause right now, and I'm going to jump into my diary, set a reminder for me to take action tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if you can remind yourself to take action via your phone and have that reminder physically, the alarm beeps at you, you're more likely to take action. But who do you need to become, and what do you need to do in order to plant the seed? And then one final question is, what seed are you actually wanting to plant? What's the final outcome so that you're growing the right tree?
Well, yeah, you'd be really disappointed, wouldn't you, if you put all that effort in and ended up with a totally different tree.
Completely. So you must know the end in mind. Well, you'd at least have a tree, but you might not be particularly happy with that tree. So you must know the end in mind. So I'm going to plug season 2, episode 1. Start with the end in mind from there.
Absolutely.
However, that brings us to the end of vitamin PC. The best time to plant a tree is right now. Go and answer those questions. Go and hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review in iTunes, and jump inside the Parallel Coaching Inner Circle on Facebook. And we will see you next time for episode number 2. See you later.
See you, bye.
Hi, I'm Neil Bergman.
And I'm Hayley Bergman. Over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands of fitness professionals to get qualified, learn with simplicity, and coach clients with confidence.
We're the first to say that learning and being a fit pro doesn't have to be hard work, and that with the right structure, support and resources, you can become a confident and knowledgeable fitness professional that is dedicated to more.
So how do you learn, qualify and kickstart as a fit pro? This is the FitPro Sessions Podcast with Parallel Coaching.